Welcome back, everybody. This is Specs, and today I'm going to be going over my last week of regular season Draft League battles with Abbekerk Manectrics. So, without further ado, let's just get right into his team and see what's popping. Alright, so first up he has a Haxorus. Now, very scary, extremely scary. This mon has one of the highest base attacks out there, and that coupled with Mold Breaker and decent coverage means it can hit extremely goddamn hard. It also has a variety of good setup moves, included but not limited to Swords Dance and Dragon Dance, which are pretty good, and it also functions very well with choice variants as well. So, Choice Band and Choice Scarf are two definitely viable Haxorus sets. So, this mon is a very versatile physical monster. And, yeah. So, in all honesty, I was thinking just like a regular band set would do very well against my team. It pressures my team out very well. As long as he can do the correct predictions, he can hit everything extremely hard. Dragon Claw, Earthquake, and Poison Jab pretty much hit everything on my team for neutral damage, if not super effective. And Poison Jab especially is devastating to my Clefable, which is the one thing I have that is immune to dragons or resist it because I do not have a steel type. Yeah, and then he also gets access to Priority First Impression, that I can't spell. Classic. Yeah, Priority First Impression, which is also very good against my Weavile. Since First Impression is +2 and Ice Shard is +1, that means Haxorus will outspeed me with his priority move, meaning my Weavile will be forced to switch out against it. I also consider that the fact that he could run a Swords Dance set as well. I just didn't think he would because it would always get forced out by Weavile, because if he Swords Dance, I know he's not faster than me, and Icicle Crash will kill all the time. And his team didn't really have the best Icicle Crash answers, so, Swords Dance, Choice Band, I don't know. I just thought he would want a mon that comes in, hits really hard, and then gets back out on the Weavile, So, yeah. So this is what I generally thought he would run. He also didn't really need to run plus speed. He could have run plus attack, because the only thing you really lose out on in terms of hitting speed against my Pokemon is my Roserade, and Roserade doesn't do too well against his team. Spikes are relatively decent against his team, but it's not the best. So, yeah. And even T-Spikes aren't that great because of Weezing Galar towards T-Spikes. So, yeah. Anyway, next up we got Cinderace. Thankfully, he is not allowed to use Libero Cinderace, otherwise that thing would be a massive threat. So he's just limited to Blaze Cinderace, which, at 33% it's very scary, but, not as scary in other ranges. So, Heavy Duty Boots are the classic item to run on Cinderace. You can run Choice Band too, and maybe Choice Scarf. I think that's a little bit fringe, but, gotta do what you gotta do in a draft league, right? So, signature move, Power Ball. It's very strong. 120 base power, 10% chance to burn. Unfortunately, there is a 90% accuracy, which has not saved me on a couple of games when I was playing in OU, but you know what? Yeah. Anyway, so this thing gets high Power Ball, and it gets pretty good coverage too. High Jump Kick, Sucker Punch for priority, which is really nice. Zen Headbutt for Toxapex. I'll talk about Toxapex. He also got Gunk Shot for Clefable, which is also very nice, and he also has U-Turn for Momentum. One thing to note, he can't. This draft league, we started before all the DLC came out, right? So that's why actually, that's not why Libero was banned. But, so no new moves as well. So Scorching Sands, Steam, whatever the fuck. Oh, what the fuck are these names? Oh, Jesus Christ. Burning Jealousy, Lash Out, all that stuff is not allowed. But anyway, so Cinderace also has Court Change as well. Can, switch hazards around, switch screens around if I happen to run them. Taunt is also very good. Super Feint is also pretty neat as well. It actually hits my Toad, which is pretty nice if you wanted to try and run that. But yeah, so Cinderace is pretty decent. Has good coverage, and it has a little bit of that utility. So, next up we got Snorlax. This thing is actually extremely scary. I always think Snorlax is a threat, no matter what, because Unless you have like some extremely strong check to it, then it will curse up and sweep your team. Thankfully, I do have a check to it in terms of Conkeldurr. Thank the Lord I drafted that. So yeah, Snorlax is a little bit less scary once I have a very strong fighting type on my team. But you know, Snorlax can still be a massive problem as well. Like, you know, like Snorlax can still do damage to Conkeldurr. It's not like Conkeldurr is you know, extremely immune to Snorlax's attack or something. You know, if you really wanted to run like fringe options, you could run something like Zen Headbutt, hit Conkeldurr super effectively, but probably not. So, you know, Curse Set is very scary. Curse Rest, I was thinking like maybe Body Slam. Darkest Lariat also worked out as well to hit my Chandelure, which otherwise would wall this. And speaking of which, Chandelure is hard walled by Snorlax because of Thick Fat, and it's normal typing, meaning that Chandelure is immune to both. Snorlax is immune to both of Chandelure's stabs. So, yeah. She probably would be running Max Defense Bold. Yeah, so Snorlax, very threatening Shadow Sweeper. Next up we got Rotom. I'm considering Rotom to be a prominent member on his team because it actually walls Conkeldurr very well, like the next teammate on his team. Well, it walls it really well under a certain circumstance, a certain set, I would say. So, if you ran Cobra Berry, obviously knockoff isn't going to do much. Levitate means I can't hit it with ground moves either, so that means it won't take too much from knockoff. It will take a lot, but it won't take as much from knockoff. Levitate means it's immune to ground. Its ghost type, it means it's also immune to fighting in normal, which means that effectively Conkeldurr is pretty walled, especially if it runs something like Plane Split, and then if it has Hex to punish my Conkeldurr for using Flame Orb. So yeah, that's interesting. And then it also gets Volt Switch for Momentum, and I was thinking either Will-O-Wisp or Toxic. It was kind of just for my Sasatoad, so he can do the Wisp Hex shenanigans on my Sasatoad as well. And yeah, so I kind of expected, not this spread, so I kind of expected like a max HP, max defense sort of Rotom. I didn't think he needed really much speed against my team. Rotom's already pretty naturally fast on its own, so I don't know, I was kind of expecting some set like this. But you know, as if he didn't need any more Conkeldurr checks because he has a Weezing Galar. So Weezing obviously resists fighting pretty damn well with his typing, and with its ability neutralizing gas, it ignores all abilities while it's on the field, which means that it ignores the Conkeldurr Guts ability. So, good for it. That basically means that, you know, Conkeldurr is obviously not doing any damage, and any move besides Facade won't be boosted at all. So, yeah. Pretty good against my team. Its poison fairy typing is also very good against Clefable, so that's nice. And so honestly, like, he could, since he doesn't have a default coverage on these 6, actually Rotom does get default, but I didn't put that on there. So like, you can put default on here, and then last move is really up to him. He can run Clear Smog, he can run Haze. Yeah, so I'll just put Taunt on here just for some flavor. You could also run T-Spikes as well, but considering I could bring Roserade, probably not too likely, and I have a couple Magic Guard users, so. And Conkeldurr, while it still is, you know, Guts won't be active on the field, but it'll still be immune to status due to its Flame Orb, assuming it gets it off before the T-Spikes go up. But, yeah, this thing is pretty damn good. Just finish this spread. Okay, yeah. And then, last off, we got the one and only Ferrothorn. Y'all know how it works. He just sits there, sets up hazards, and she just seeds you. So, you know, Leech Seed, South Rock, pretty prominent. Pretty much what you need on a Ferrothorn, unless you have another Rock Setter, in which case you can run Spikes, which is even more fun. Yay. A couple other options it got. So it got Knockoff, it has Body Press, it has Thunder Wave, all of which are very good options to use. It has Power Whip as well to hit my Seismitoad if it really needs to. Although, honestly, Leech Seed plus whatever works out pretty well. It doesn't really need a super effective move to cripple my Seismitoad. So yeah, thinking something like this would be pretty good. And max defense is probably for the best, because you're not really staying in on my special attackers anyway. So yeah, those are his 6 that I thought he would bring. And then we got the next 4. Nicholas, definitely something he could bring as well. 3 pretty good immunities. Not immunities, abilities, sorry. Abbekerk, slightly overshadowed by his other 2, though. So, he's got Magic Guard and Regenerator. Both are fantastic abilities. You can run either one, in all honesty. I was kind of just expecting, if he did bring it, to bring, like, some sort of setup sweeper variant. Like, I only have 1 Dark type, and it's pretty frail. So, if he, like, gets rid of my Dark type, he can do a Clam Mind. A Calm Mind and Acid Armor set with Stored Power. Not too dissimilar to current Magearna sets. Yeah, so you can run something like this with Magic Guard, immune to hazards. I mean, not hazards, like toxic damage and burn damage. And yeah, if he gets rid of my Weavile, then that would be pretty beneficial. So yeah, that's pretty good. Volibee. These are the last 3 I don't really expect him to bring for certain reasons I'll talk about. So Volibee, I mean, it's okay, I guess. Overcoat makes an immune to sleep powder from Rosary, so that's pretty nice. And it's a Defogger, which is good. You can grab momentum with U-turn. Got foul plays, got knockoff. I mean, it's just baby Mandibuzz. I mean, I don't know really what else you want me to say about this. So yeah, I just didn't really expect him to bring this, considering it doesn't really do much for him besides remove hazards, and he already has Wheezing for that anyways. So, meh. Hitmonchan, also didn't really expect him to bring this. I don't even know what type of set you would run for this thing. Like AV, Life Orb, Choice Band. You could run a couple different sets, but Bulk Up. I don't know. It can run a lot of different sets, but it has Bullet Punch for priority, which is nice. Just didn't really expect it because it kind of just gets walled by Clef. Yes, it does have Bullet Punch, but it's 1 move, and I am assuming he knew that my Clef would be mostly max defense, so because of his Haxorus. So yeah, I don't know. Hitmonchan, not very helpful. At least that's what I thought. Yeah. Excuse me. And last up, we got Gastrodon. It's basically Sassatoad, but unfortunately it doesn't get Stealth Rocks, which is the main draw of Sassatoad, as you can see. But it does get Recovered, which is one thing it has over Sassatoad. I mean, this thing just gets kind of walled by Clefable again, so yeah, didn't really expect him to bring this. It's basically just the reason why I didn't think he'd bring all of the last 3 is just Clef, pretty much, and also the top 6 that he have are just so good for my team in general. So yeah, well, maybe Cinderace is a little bit weaker, but who cares? But yeah, so those are his teammates, just draft league picks, whatever. And let's go into the team that I built. So I have today a Conkeldurr. So I decided to run no coverage for Rotom whatsoever. Turned out to not be the greatest idea, but yeah, anyway. So I tried to run a bulk up set. I was thinking, like, if I could remove the Rotom and Weezing, then I could probably bulk up and sweep. That was my thought process. So bulk up, Drain Punch, Mach Punch, and Facade. Yeah. And I have a little bit of speed here to outspeed stuff like Weezing. So yeah. And next we got Scarf Chandelure. I just ran just enough speed to outspeed Cinderace with the Scarf. Chandelure actually walls the Cinderace to some extent. Because, almost all the moves that Cinderace has to hit Chandelure is like, well, it doesn't really have many. It has like Zen Headbutt and Sucker Punch. So if I decided to run like some sort of Calm Mind, Cobra Berry, Chandelure, then that Cinderace was absolutely boned if it tried to do anything to me. So I don't know. But I just ran Scarf just for a little bit of speed control. I ran Clear Smog, Shadow Ball, and Flamethrower. So I just had stabs, and then Clear Smog was for setup Nicholas, just in case it got too out of hand. Same thing for Snorlax as well. Next up, we got Sigilyph. I just ran a classic Life Orb Magic Guard set with Roost, and I'm with Defog. So it got Psychic and Heat Wave for coverage, and it's got Roost, Defog, yeah, as I said. Max speed, so I can speed tie with the Haxorus if it is max speed, and I'll run it if it isn't max speed. Clef is next. I have a Calm Mind Clef this time. Max defense, max HP, and then I just have Calm Blast, Moonblast Flamethrower, and then I have Soft Boiled. Seismitoad, I have a pretty classic defensive Seismitoad. Leftovers, we got Stealth Rock, Scald, Toxic, Knockoff. Pretty standard. Didn't think I really needed the ground coverage. And last up we have Choice Band Weavile. It's just a very good revenge killer for Haxorus in general. So Low Kick, Ice Shard, Icicle Crash, and Knockoff, all very good. And yeah, so ran just enough speed to outspeed Max Speed Cinderace. So yeah. So that was the team, and I will catch you guys with the battle in a second. Alright, we're back. So, looking at the teams, I got most of it. He just didn't bring his Cinderace and instead swapped it out for Reuniclus, which makes sense. In hindsight, I probably should have seen that coming. So, yeah. Anyway, looking at the lead matchup, I was just like, you know what? Clefable does very well against everything. I don't want him to do any sort of shenanigans with Haxorus, so I just decided to lead off with Clefable against the, hopefully, Haxorus, and I do get that here. And I'm just like, I don't want to mess around with this thing. I got to Moonblast it right away. I don't want things to go awry. So he goes to Reuniclus. I switch out a Chandelure. I was thinking, like, I could take whatever he throws out. It turns out to be Trick Room, which was extremely scary. I did not expect that at all, considering his team doesn't really have a Trick Room abuser except for, I guess, Reuniclus itself. So that was pretty interesting. Well, I guess, like, Bandits, Snorlax, or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, did not expect this at all. So I was just like, I'll go into Clef. Let's see what he has. He has Shadow Ball, does a lot. Turns out to be Life Orb, and since he took damage, indicates he's not Magic Guard. And yeah, so he's either Overcoat or Regenerator. I assume Regenerator, considering Overcoat probably wasn't the best idea. So yeah, he goes for Psychic. It does a crap ton. I was really scared. I kind of choked there, went for Calm Mind. I really should have wished up instead, but you know what? He was just like Life Orb 3 attack with Trick Room. I think I was just kind of expecting him to set up or something, but like, he just, yeah. Oh yeah, also when I was in the damage calculator, I accidentally calculated for Psyshock, which obviously does not do much to Clef, but yeah, he's Psychic. So yeah, pretty scary stuff. I gotta switch out again. I was praying he didn't go for Focus Blast on my Weavile switch in. Thankfully, he just went for Psychic. And then I was praying he didn't go for, like, some other move against my Sigilyph, and thankfully, he stayed pretty safe and played all the turns, like, just hit what's in front of you, right? Which, you know what? Honestly, fair enough. Obviously, that worked out for me, so I like that. So, yeah, anyway. My Sigilyph actually didn't have a way to threaten the Reuniclus, so I was just, like, hoping, because the Heatwave wouldn't have killed the Reuniclus, if I remember correctly, so I was just, like, crit or something, because I can't really switch out for the Trick Room. Thankfully, it goes Snorlax here. I'm pretty happy with that. I decided to go Conkeldurr here right away, get my Flame Orb up. When running, he just doubles into Rotom, which is a very solid play on his part. I go into Seismitoad here. He tries to go for Volt Switch, doesn't work out, and he switches out, which makes sense. So he doesn't want to take a knockoff or Toxic, I'm assuming. He goes into the Fair Thrown on the rocks, and I just go back into Chandelure here. Goes for Iron Defense. Now, here I was just like, no way in fucking shit you are staying in on a Chandelure Flamethrower, right? That makes 0 sense, and he has a Snorlax to counter it. So I was just like, I'm just going to trick here. Worst case scenario, he, like, knocks me off, and I probably lived that, actually. So, worst case scenario, oh, whatever. I tricked the Ferrothorn to Scarf, which isn't terrible. But if it works out correctly, Snorlax would be coming in on the Scarf, which means that it would be crippled completely, and that's what turns out to happen. So now, because of the Scarf on it, he can only lock himself into one move, which means that Curse Lax is dead. It can only pretty much hit things, and that's about it. I go into Seismitoad here. He goes for Darkest Lariat. Yeah, Seismitoad taking absolutely no damage from the Snorlax. I decided to go into Clef here on the double into Ferrothorn, and that way I got all my health back, which is pretty nice. I mean, he was locked into Darkest Lariat anyways, so Clefable wouldn't have taken much damage anyways, so also that. But anyway, I go for Soft Boiled here, get my health back. Very nice. And I was thinking, like, maybe I can start setting up Calm Minds, hope he's just Body Slam. Turns out he's Heavy Slam. That kind of sucks. I'm just, like, trying to throw away this Clefable, honestly. Okay, but thankfully Heavy Slam doesn't have the Body Slam Parachance, like, well, body slam does. So yeah, I was just like doing a little bit of calm mindset of trying to see if I can get some damage off on him, and I decided it wasn't worth it in the end. I just wanted to conquer to scare it out. So at this point, I was just like, I know he's not going to stay in, so I just immediately go out to Slice the Toad because it covers. It beats Weezing and Rotom decently well, I think. So yeah, he goes in Weezing Galar. I think I just go for knock. I go for knock, yeah. So I knock off the Ferrothorn's Chople Berry, which is interesting. Yeah, so I just go back to Clef. Heavy Slam is doing nothing, so this Ferrothorn really can't touch my Clef at all, except maybe knock off my leftovers. Probably the extent of what he can do. I stop both here. If you're caught by Clef, you almost always have Flamethrower, so I guess he was just scared of that. He goes into Snorlax here. I just go back into Toad on the Heavy Slam. As you can see, Toad is not taking jack shit from this Snorlax, so it's basically an eternal switch in. Now we got a couple turns of leeway. I'm gonna be honest, I was very nervous throughout this entire fight. Abbekerk is definitely the best player in the league. Yeah, I mean, I guess technically now, well, I'm okay, I shouldn't say that yet, never mind. But yeah, I consider Abbekerk to be one of the best, if not the best player in the league at the moment. So, I have a lot of pressure on me to win. And his reputation precedes him, I suppose. So, yeah. And anyway, in this situation, I was just, playing it safe. I was just going to be like, he's the one who has to make the aggressive play in order to get any sort of advantage. So, if he's going to keep rotating between Ferrothorn and Snorlax, I'm just going to keep rotating between Clef and Toad, and no drawbacks whatsoever for me. So I don't really care. So, yeah. We just kind of have a couple turns of this. I'm going to skip through them a couple times, I was just trying to get, Skullburns on Ferrothorn, and I was just trying to I was trying to get my Clef back to full, do some chip damage to the Snorlax, all that stuff. He rests there with, okay, we're back in the game. Okay, so he goes to Rotom on the Calm Mind. I decided to switch out. I'm not really sure why I did that. Yeah, I'm not really sure why I did that, actually. I guess I considered that, Toad is just a good, whatever Rotom throws out. Maybe I just scared of some fringe option. But anyway, I go Toad here. I get I'm basically back at full. Goes to Ferrothorn. I'm just Skullburn, Toxic. I'm just again, I'm not in the bad position here. He's the one who has to make aggressive doubles. So I don't give a flying fuck about anything right at the moment. So, Snorlax is fast asleep, so I was just you know what, let me try to calm mind, see how much damage I can do against this thing. Turns out it's not going to be a lot, as you'll soon find out. Moonblast only doing 28%, which is nothing. Which makes sense considering I don't have Life Orb or any sort of offensive, special attack investment, so whatever. So the Toad comes in on this, Ferrothorn comes out again, the rocks and the skull is all adding up, and haven't gotten the burn yet. Whatever, don't care. I'm just going through the motions, man. He stop was there, and then he just sacks Ferrothorn, which he told me he was after the game. He told me he was just basically doing for the entire time. Whatever. Yeah, so he goes into Snorlax here. Excuse me. I got Toad again. This time he finally makes the aggressive double into Haxorus. So at this point, I was just I'm still operating on the assumption it's Choice Band, right? So I'm just you know what? I'm going to Toxic it. It's going to limit its longevity. And yeah, and if it is Choice Band, I don't really want it to have freed up moves because that would be kind of scary. So that's why I just go for Toxic here. It turns out he is Swords Dance Lumberry, which is terrifying. So I was at this point, Toad pretty much has done his purpose. He has gotten up rocks. Which is basically the only thing I expect out of my Toad. So I just let it die. It dies to Outrage really quickly, but he kind of screwed up with that because with the Stealth Rock damage, if it doesn't have any investment, it's guaranteed to die to Moonblast from Clefable. It's locked into Outrage. He has to go for it again, meaning that he will die. So yeah, that's what happens. I think he did have a bit of HP in special defense, but I don't think it's not something that mattered. I think, or at least it wouldn't have mattered too much. Anyway, he goes back into Snorlax here. I'm just trying to chip it down, trying to get it to die. He goes for Heavy Slam here. He's doing the 43 to 49 that he's been doing before. He's just yeah, this The Snorlax is very useless to him now. I'm just trying to get my health back up to a decent amount at this point. Kind of playing this a little bit stally. I'm running out of stop walls actually, so yeah, I was just like, screw it. I'm just gonna go into Clef here, and yeah, I mean not Clef, Chandelure, because Wall's Heavy Slam, and I have leftovers too. So I'm just like, all right, time to kill the Snorlax. He's just going for the Heavy Slam, whatever. Yeah, so I take it out here. So Chandelure does really well against his team, if you notice. I mean, Rotom can't switch in on Shadow Ball. Weezing, I know, is Fizz Def and not Spadef because of Conkeldurr, and Reuniclus obviously is weak to Shadow Ball. So he goes to Rotom here, and I was just like, I don't want to risk this thing, because he's been playing like it's been Scarf, so I just don't want to risk any Shadow Ball shenanigans from him, so I switch out, I go into my Sigilyph. It's useless at this point, I'm just like, screw it, whatever. He does a lot of damage. This indicates that he has special attack, which means it's most likely Choice Scarf. So I was like, it's whatever. I'm going to go into Weavile here, and I'm just going to click Icicle Crash. It scares out basically everything, so he goes to Discharge again. Hope he doesn't get the para. He doesn't, but I miss Icicle Crash, and then the next turn, Discharge kills the Weavile with a higher roll. Kind of sucks, but now that I know I know he's Scarf now for sure, because that's been my Weavile. So I'm just going to be like, okay, I'll just go to Chandelure, and I'm just going to start cleaning. Discharge is 50, but Shadow Ball kills in return, so that's nice. He goes into Reuniclus here. I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to Shadow Ball, no questions asked. He goes to Weezing, because he's Regenerator Reuniclus, so he's trying to get as much health back as he can. So, yeah. So basically sacks the Weezing here. At this point, he's just going, he's trying to get one last Trick Room off, so that he doesn't, so he can try to sweep at the very late game. But unfortunately for him, due to the Rock Chip and all that, Shadow Ball does kill at this point. Yeah, and that's a good game. Even if the Reuniclus lived, it would have been at such a low health, and since it doesn't have any recovery moves, there was no way for him to win because of Life Orb damage, since he's not Magic Guard. So, yeah, GG's to Abbekerk. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting game. I honestly really expected to get my ass handed to me in this game, but happily, it didn't turn out that way. And because we were both tied for first, I think we're tied for first. We were both at the same, like, differential. So we both had plus 29. We both had the same amount of games won versus lost. And so since I won this match, it put me at first in the entire league at the end of the season. And yeah, so that was pretty cool. That means I am first seed going into the top 8 tournament playoffs that we have. And let me show you the top 8 tournament thing that we have going on. Let me switch my layouts a little bit. Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is it's not projected. Well, it is projected, but this is the bracket now, I think, barring anyone dropping out or anything like that. So I am set to go up against the Pokemon Go-Goats, aka Kuda, which you may remember from a previous video. So yeah, I really suck at outros. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Be sure to subscribe, I suppose, and I will see you all in a couple days when I get my first top 8 battle against the Pokemon Go-Goats. See you all then.